And boom, you are locked into the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. It is Tuesday, the 21st of October, 2025, in the year of our Lord. We are streaming today on Rumble. We are streaming today on X. We are streaming today on YouTube, and we are streaming at WYAB.com. Yesterday, with the Amazon glitch, was unable to live stream the first couple segments of the show yesterday. Apologize for that. Circumstances beyond our control, but the radio is always there. The radio is always working. In fact, Matt is out at the tower today. 50,000 watts. That's the blowtorch of Mississippi right there, WYAB. Expanding the wattage is going to be great. Up to 600,000 sets of ears at any one time. It's a great opportunity to be working with WYAB. We'd love to work with you if you've got a small business that you need promoted. Now's a great time to get into radio, because I can promise you this right now. I think we're at operating at 12,000. When we get up to that next level, the rate's going to go up. And now's a great time to get involved with WYAB. Definitely give the office a call if you have any questions. We'd love to help you out with that. Phone number today, if you want to be part of the program, is 601-879-0002. The text line is open at 601-879-5060. And the mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. We are here to equip the saints. And you are one of the saints. Gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word, yep, definitely incites anger. It was great doing the last hour with Brother Clay. I really like working with that dude. I learned so much. The creativity that Clay possesses is really second to none. It's incredible to work with the dude, and I'm grateful for it. All sorts of stuff to talk about. We've got the woeful mainstream media numbers, and I've got them. It's actually looking pretty good from a conservative perspective. Well, let's just roll with it. Let's just roll with it. Warner Brothers Discovery says it's open to a sale after unsolicited offers. Stock surges 9%. These are the people who are going to be selling CNN. They say they're selling CNN and their stock goes up 9%. That tells you about all you need to know about CNN. This is coming from the New York Post. Warner Brothers Discovery on Tuesday said it's open to a sale after receiving an unsolicited interest from multiple parties, sending the media giant stock up more than 9% in early trading. Now, the New York Post says that this is a surprise announcement, but anybody who's listening to this radio show knows we have been accurately depicting, quantifiably. It's not even opinion at this point. We've been documenting it, how the ratings are just in the garbage can. And it's good to see that these people are getting their comeuppance. This Zaslav said Warner Brothers Discovery, which owns HBO, CNN, and Warner Brothers Studio, has been preparing to split into two companies next year. One housing its streaming and studio assets, and another for its global cable and networks division. So they're going to put all the good stuff in its housing and streaming and studio assets, and everything they want to get rid of, it's going to go to their global cable and networks division. What do you want to bet on that? It's not even debatable. This is great stuff. It's nice to be able to come into the studio and say, I remember talking about this. And come to find out what we were talking about turned out to be true later on down the line. We are on the societal edge of evolution right there. And this is just one of many stories coming from ground news, which is where I use to find stories, to double check them, make sure that I'm not just getting one side of the story. I definitely like getting all sides here, especially on this show. We got to make sure that we get it right. And then this is coming from CNBC. It says shares jumped up, but even higher after that other story was written, because this got to 10. Basically saying the same story, and it's got a great picture of the stock just completely rocketing up and then falling back down after the initial charge of it. So somebody shorted that, I'm sure, and made a little bit of money off of Warner Brothers Discovery. Good deal. But the one place that I always enjoy going to get the ratings news is adweek.com. If you don't know about adweek.com, highly suggest you put that on your list of stuff to go after or to monitor. And I will go ahead. If you're not following me on X, you can. It's just Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. And I will put it up there. Just a simple link, nothing crazy. But Adweek, the networks experienced double-digit losses in the primetime demo. This is for the week of October 6th. This is the most recent one we've got. Fox News, MSNBC/MS Now/BS Always, and CNN experienced erosion of viewership during primetime and total day, both in total viewers and in the adult 25 to 54 demographic, which is all that these people really care about, because the people from 24 or 25 to 54 are the ones who spend the money. And it just goes through and talks about how no matter whether you're a conservative leaning site or a liberal site, everybody experienced a loss. And that's okay. It is okay, because we have cycles. We all know about the business cycle. We have ups, we have downs. We all experience that. It's not a big deal. But when you are having that big of a drop off, that is definitely something to look at. So think about this. This is the primetime news during the week. Total viewers, Fox News 2.285 million, MSNBC 814,000, CNN 459,000. Paltry numbers. But this is the really crazy thing. Where the big money comes in is for the demographic. Fox News, with the biggest slice of the demographic by far, only 220,000 people. So less than, that number, 2.285 million, only 220,000 of that is in the demographic. That's absolutely mortifying. You're not reaching too much of the demo there. With MSNBC, again, their total reach was 814,000. They're only reaching 78,000 people in the demographic. And for CNN, again, they don't even have 500,000 viewers watching that show, and they only had 66,000 people from that demographic. Remember, CNN gets plastered in all of the airports. Everybody sees CNN. And they're still getting absolutely ripped and smoked in the ratings. And it just goes to show you that those of us who think the way we do, we're made to be outcasts. We're made to feel like we don't belong. We're made to feel like we're not seeing things correctly. But I'm looking at these numbers here, and I'm telling you, there is no way that these people are going to be able to continue to exist in the free marketplace of ideas and value. You can always corrupt it with a little bit of government and get those people out there who start saying a bunch of nonsense. But that is beyond us, ladies and gentlemen. That is not our concern. That is not our control. Again, rule tool politics. Learn it, live it, love it. Control what you can control. We can control the 2 hours we invest daily on the Andrew Gosser show and get smarter, and I will do my very best to make sure that I have come prepared the classroom with the material ready to grow the movement, but at the same time, can't do it all by myself, and that's where things like this really come in handy. It's almost why so in I as many of you know, I watch soccer, English football, and there's this new trend called a hate along, where people from rival groups, uh, we know that everybody in Mississippi is an Alabama fan. We don't have any of these LSU people, so we all like Alabama, and we see that LSU is playing Ole Miss. Well, we're all gonna follow that game today, and we're all gonna cheer for Ole Miss, even though we're all Alabama fans. And it's almost to the point to where you watch some of these hot hate-alongs just to watch how silly and stupid some of our rivals actually are. Same thing can be said about the news agencies and the cable news. You almost wanna watch them to see how silly they are. The View comes to mind. There's that lady on CNN who has Scott Jennings. I don't even know her name. I know Scott Jennings goes on her show and steals it the entire time, but I don't even know that woman's name. Not trying to be hateful, I'm just telling you a fact. There's so much more data here, on Fox News and MSNBC and CNN, and this is so what I gave you was prime time from 5 to 10 PM at night, those were the numbers. This is the daytime numbers. For Fox News, 1.48 million people watching Fox News, but only 145,000 in the demographic. Do you see how those numbers are getting lower and lower? It's tragic. MSNBC, 504,000 people watch MSNBC/MS Now/BS Always during the day. Only 46,000 people watch that show during the day in the demographic, 25 to 54. They're not making any money, ladies and gentlemen. And CNN, even worse, only 382,000 people total viewers, and of that, 56,000 of them are in the demo. Ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you today, on the 21st of October, 2025, that we are having a significant impact in the culture war. When you think about what happened to us in the COVID shutdown in 2020 when they were just online abusing conservatives online. You were allowed to talk crap about us. And then they would ban us so we couldn't even answer. We couldn't even respond to the attacks that were being made against us. It's truly evil. It's like everything that the left is complaining about now is actually what the right went through. Which is why you see some people like me actively defending the left's right to be complete and total lunatics and morons. We appreciate this wild behavior, and while we don't necessarily want you to hurt anybody, we certainly do encourage it to continue so we can point out the madness. The right is in such a good place right now, and all we have to do is be rational and stand up for our values. We don't have to do any truly heavy laboring. In fact, I would argue that sometimes the biggest and most heavy laboring is just standing up in a room when you know you're gonna be shouted down. But you do it anyways because it's the right thing to do. And we'll continue to do it because that's just how we are. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We're gonna take our first break. We will be right back. Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show, where I will not let you down. We will continue to bring the news. We will continue to report the truth. And even though there's a bunch of people out there saying that, oh, everything's fine in the mainstream media world, the news is doing good, we can all see for ourselves that it's not. And we simply just have to stand up and be vigilant and call them out for the jokers that they are. It's one of the reasons why I'm so grateful and thankful to be partnered with brother Bruce Bennett over there at iGear Optical, 2630 Highway 80 in Pearl. Our man, when your glasses aren't doing what they need you to do, you need to go see Bruce. Locally owned and operated optical shop right here in Pearl, Mississippi. Get that personal service that we've come to know and expect here in Mississippi. I have absolutely no problem in going on and talking about how good we truly have it in Mississippi. And Bruce's business, iGear Optical, is just one example of how awesome it is here to do business in Mississippi. They're open from Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Definitely have time to go over there and check them out. They're online too at iGearOptical.com. Brother Bruce, we really appreciate you supporting the show. It means a lot to us. And I guess the next place to really go is who owns what in Mississippi? Clarion Ledger. Who owns the most land in Mississippi? Biggest landowner has 180,000 acres. 180,000 acres. I own 30. I'm pretty happy with that, but would I like 180,000? Yeah, the amount of sheep we could do with it. Sweepy, we'd be eating really good. Sheep, pigs, chickens, turkeys. We'll let somebody else grow all the vegetables. Vegetable tastes like sad. But man almighty, that's a lot of lamb. Mississippi has about 30 million acres, and as most of the recent census data, approximately 10.2 million of that was quote-unquote farmland. The Mississippi Department of Agriculture and Commerce noted approximately 19 million acres are used for forestry, which makes sense. You love growing that cheap, I mean, it is cheap pine. It's not the best to build your houses with, but it's a definitely affordable product there. According to the World Population Review, about 60% of the total land in the United States is owned by private companies and people. Red Emerson and his family are the largest landowners in the U.S. with 2.4 million acres, according to the Land Report, which is great. But here we go. The largest single entity to own land in Mississippi is Galen Lawrence Jr. Never heard of the gentleman. The owner of the Lawrence family. All right. The investment firm has holdings in financial companies, agriculture, hospitality, and more, according to the World Population Review. He owns 180,000 acres here in Mississippi. Now, the thing to talk about here, these are private people who own property. Let's just go through them. The Emerson family, 2.4 million acres. Oh, these are the largest landowners in the United States. Excuse me. It doesn't necessarily go into Mississippi. I thought it did, but these are just in America. Emerson family, 2.4 million. John Malone, 2.2 million. Ted Turner, we know that name, 2 million acres. My man, Stan Kroenke. For those of you who don't know who Stan Kroenke is, he is the owner of the world famous Arsenal, the greatest soccer team to play. He owns 1.8 million. Up the Gunners. Hey, with Stan owning all this money, I know we can go out and get more players now. I'm going to have to get into my Arsenal podcast that I partake in. Spend some more money. We got to do some more. The Reed family, the Irving family, the Buck family, the Singleton family, the King Ranch heirs, and Pingree heirs. That rounds it out. The biggest family owning 2.4 million in this, in the, 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 the biggest family owning 2.4 million in this, in the number 10th is 830,000 acres. I kick myself in the butt every time for not moving to Mississippi sooner. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love my property, I love my neighbors, I love everything about it, but if I would have done what I said I was gonna do back in the early '90s, I would have had 500 acres, maybe 1,000, maybe 2,500. Dogfish chiming in, saying, "Ag gold is down today. Buy the dip, reap the rewards." We're not, investment, advisors here, licensed professionals, but by any means, if you go and look at what's going on with gold and with silver, it is ridiculous. There was actually a gold sell-off. People were, uh, cashing out some of their returns. I mean, it's just look at the gold in the last year. It's the total hockey stick type of maneuver going on there. But I did wanna talk about the landowners in America because when we were talking, one of the texters was texting me. This is where I'm going with this, and he said, "Are we gonna talk about the bailout of Argentina, where we're buying we're giving them $20 billion, which is a lot of money." And the thing about it is that are we gonna use some of that money that we could, bail out American farmers, but instead we're gonna go ahead and give Argentinian beef a shot? I will say this. Oh, not I said AG. I just assumed gold. It's silver. I'm sorry, correct me. Silver, dogfish, thank you. Long story short is that Argentinian beef is actually really good. It's one of those stocks that are just absolutely crazy. Dogfish is now sending in all the metal updates. Gold is at 44,120 per ounce, and silver's at $49 an ounce. And since we're at it and we're doing the stock picks today, let's just go check out Netflix. Netflix is up year to date. It's up 354 points during the day. It's up $2.24. 5 days is up. 1 month up. 6 month up. Year to date up. 1 year up. 5-year up. Max up. Wow. I will say this, Elon did take a chunk of the upward momentum off. He definitely cooled off Netflix, but, it's definitely continued to go down that path. Talking about people who own the property, who own because land is wealth. It is by far considered to be the number one way to distinguish wealth is by your holdings, by your land holdings. And man, I would love to get more. It is it is something very special, and not everybody does it because it's not on everybody's heart and everybody's calling to own land. But I'll tell you what, I absolutely love it. I know the sweet bee loves it. Toots McCracken loves it, even on school days when she's got to get up at 4:35 to get the chores done. That girl's got grit. She's got work ethic. When we get back, we will continue to break down today's news stories. I do have the pictures from the No Kings Day, which is the title of the stream, and we'll get into No Kings right when we get back from this break. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. And we are back on the Andrew Gosser Show right here at 103.9 WYAB. Dogfish continue to pile in and during the chat. It says, buy a Bible. It's the best investment you'll ever make. However, the Bible can't help you unless you study it. And I was like, yep. Which goes right into this point right here. Andrew, I really appreciate some of your positions that you take, especially in the worldview. However, how come you always bring God into it? Because he's God. Here's the truth about this, and I try to be very careful with this. My faith is the biggest thing in my life. It's bigger than anything. My faith comes first. But I try to walk so in a way that doesn't necessarily say, "Look, I'm better than you. I've got it." That is absolutely not why I do what I do. I try to be a walking example of what life could look like if you walk it the way that I do. It doesn't mean that I have it better than you. It doesn't mean that I don't have trials and tribulations. My goodness, some of the stuff that I've had to walk through in the last year, my goodness gracious. But the reason I bring this up is because I feel like people are trying to show you that the biblical way that this country was founded, we need to go back to that, or we just got to get rid of the Constitution. We can say, you know what, the Constitution is good for a moral, biblical society, but we are not a moral, biblical society anymore. So we are going to get rid of the Constitution, and we are going to put in our own despotism system that's going to make everybody miserable, and we'll all end up going to war, and it'll be ugly. But that's why I do that, Mr. Unknown Texter or Mrs. Unknown Texter. I don't know, but I do appreciate the text line or the text. Let's see here. Go back into. We're talking about the No Kings. That's what I wanted to get into. And the Mississippi Free Press did an absolutely outstanding job of documenting just how few people were really there. They did 3 different stories by the looks that I can tell from this. They've got one in Kosciuszko, and they have 4, 8, 11 people out there. Let me double check. Math in public's dangerous. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, they got 11 people there. No kings, and just no white people. It looks like they're on the side of a road there. They've got some made up signs, which is good because we like the made up signs. It's like going back to a WWF Monday Night Raw back in the day. Everybody bringing their own signs. Yep. No Kings protest draws Mississippi crowds from Kosciuszko to Gulfport. Thousands of Mississippians and millions more people nationwide took to No Kings protests on Saturday, October 18th. We didn't have too much violence on that day, did we? It wasn't like anything that happened in LA with all the Mexican flags basically being run over. I mean, we are seriously in a civil war right now that we're not even acknowledging that we're in. To have Los Angeles, a United States mega metropolis, completely get steamrolled by a bunch of illegal immigrants waving American flags, writing all sorts of nasty stuff, graffiti, vandalism, destruction. Yep. So you've got different choices there. You've got No King's Day protest in Jackson, Mississippi. We'll click on that real quick. This is by Sean C. Muhammad and Nick Juden. Sure do see a lot of white people, a lot of white boomers. Yep. Lots and lots. And you know, they're and again, they've got the ACLU, the really fancy signs. This one, we got the American signs. White-haired lady right there, really nice. But again, this does not show the same type of diversity that the mainstream media would want you to believe. It does not. We've got good-looking white people. This is actually a really good sign. Nice black lady. This is my first protest. Long live life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's right. The pursuit of happiness, not the guarantee. Right now in America, everybody has that pursuit of happiness, that ability to go out and do what you want to do. It's not like London or France right now. Those people over there are flipping miserable. Their government is not protecting the citizens, it's protecting the immigrants. It says long live life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, as long as you've got your faith, you're gonna be all right. But that's Jackson. One sign there says, "Bring our Mississippi National Guard home." I've never heard President Trump call himself a king. He might have, and if someone has got that, send it to me. I'll eat it, but I can't remember him ever wanting to be a king. I know he trolls the left a lot and insinuates things, but there you go. There's, some interesting signs there. I still can't believe we have to protest this. The Capitol looks empty. It's, very poor showing by the No Kings people in Jackson, Mississippi, in my opinion. Photos of No Kings protest in Oxford, Mississippi. Well, you know this is gonna be white. Yep. Grimace is in some of the pictures. Grimace from McDonald's. You know that, the side when your side is showing up in live action role play costumes, whether it be Grimace, a Star Wars stormtrooper, anything like that, where you dress up like a dog, a cat, a fish, a mermaid, a squirrel, a mouse, it doesn't matter. You're failing. No mass secret police, but you can show up to a protest in a Grimace outfit and not have to worry about it. I mean, yesterday it was still in the upper 70s, man. I bet you it was warm in that thing. Bet you're warm in that Grimace costume. Almost everybody's over the age of 50. They do have some youngins in there. They've got 2 or 3 black people in the picture. It's pretty good. He's got somebody dressed up like Trump and as a bank robber, and it's got a picture with him with Epstein. I still think that that's Trump's biggest mistake is not releasing the Epstein files. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And then it's got this older couple holding hands. That's pretty sweet. I know it's not the sweet beat appreciation segment yet, but it's always a good time to appreciate on your spouse. Holding hands like that. Yep. But the No Kings protest, absolute debacle, disaster. I knew it was gonna be a bummer when I went on X this morning at 3:30 doing show prep because I got up. And there was just really nothing about it. There was nothing yesterday about it, nothing today about it. I know that we, in the beginning of this hour, was talking about education, and this just got sent to me. We know that our education system is in deep trouble. We know it's broken. This isn't up for debate. We know it's in trouble. And yet, every time we try to change it and do something, the left immediately freaks out. In Illinois, 24 schools do not have a single child who can read at the respected grade level. How is this even possible? 24 schools. No one's reading at the appropriate reading level. Most of this is in Chicago public schools, CPS 299. but everything is basically around Chicago. And I didn't have the time to actually do the really neat spreadsheet where I can get you the median and the margin and all that. But there are a lot of kids who can't read. And these graduation rates, there's this school, Latino Youth Alternative High School, 60 or 21% graduation rate. 21% graduation rate. And you're telling me that we don't have a problem in our public education system? I this is where the future of humanity is going, where we can have people who know where to look to find stuff and then turning it into a news story and informing the masses. I'll go ahead and repost this, but if you've got a public education system and then there's people who will like, "Nope, keep those kids in those failing schools. No school choice for you. No soup for you." It's really sad and tragic. You look at some of these graduation rates, 21%, ladies and gentlemen, 21%. Nah, 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 man. We'll be right back. You're listening to Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9. Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. Another angry texter. Andrew, there's no way that can be 21% graduation rate. Show your work. Well, I texted it, or I put it online on X, and the source is the Illinois State Board of Education, Illinois Report Card 2024. Again, my source is the Illinois State Board of Education, Illinois Report Card 2024. So if the Board of Education is screwed up in Illinois, which we can all agree here without even looking, know that it's true. Yeah, education system is just hot garbage. In 24 schools in Illinois, not one kid can read at their grade level. So why would we want to put them there? We wouldn't. And this just goes to show that as we continue to promote and promulgate the sad truth out there that our education system stinks, the more that we point it out, the more and more that we see it, and it's just like a self-licking ice cream cone. It just keeps on getting worse and worse. You know what I'd like to see? Because they say nothing's happening like this in Mississippi, where there's no LGBTQ in the classroom. There's none of that. We just need some high school kids and some middle-aged kids to go take pictures of the stuff that's in their classroom that they're being subjected to. I'd love to see it. Of course, we make sure that it's 100% non-attribution. Couldn't get back to you, but I'd love to see some of these classrooms, because they're out there. It'd just be, could we get some of these pictures out there to actually look at this? I think it'd be awesome. I do. That's the kind of political activism I'm actually interested in. I'm interested in the stuff that they're like, oh, you can't do that. That was the number one way to get me to do something. Oh, Andrew, you can't do that. Andy, you can't do that. Andy, you can't graduate high school on time. Andy, you can't go into the Navy. Andy, you can't become an officer. And just every time they told me no, it was just like, okay, let's see where this one turns out. We all have things in our lives that we have to overcome and point out. It's too late to take a call. Call back in the next hour, my friend. Long story short is we all have things we have to overcome, obstacles, challenges. We can do it. But the first part of that is just sanely looking at the problem and then coming up with a game plan. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9. We'll be back in about 8 minutes.
News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Steve Kathan. A man pardoned for the Capitol attack is now charged with threatening to kill the top House Democrat Hakeem Jeffries. Christopher Moynihan's pleaded not guilty. CBS's Jake Rosen says text messages are part of the prosecution case.
He said that he planned to, quote, eliminate Jeffries while Jeffries was speaking at an event in New York City at the Economic Club of New York on Monday. According to court documents in the state of New York, Moynihan wrote, Hakeem Jeffries makes a speech in a few days. I cannot allow this terrorist to live.
Vice President Vance is in Israel to shore up the Gaza ceasefire, and he says he is optimistic it will hold.
Here at the Civilian Military Cooperation Center, which we are announcing the opening of, you have Israelis and Americans working hand in hand to try to begin the plan to rebuild Gaza, to implement a long-term peace, and to actually ensure that you have security forces on the ground in Gaza, not composed of Americans, who can keep the peace over the long term.
And tomorrow he meets with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. Now to Paris, CBS's Elizabeth Palmer is following the investigation after the stunning jewel heist at the Louvre.
A recent security audit noted that 35% of the rooms in the Denon wing, where the jewels were, have no security cameras. And France's justice minister admitted the glass on the cases wasn't strong enough. The thieves were able to cut right through it.
Here at home, CBS's Michael Wallace tells us Warner Brothers Discovery is drawing interest from potential buyers.
Just a few months ago, the entertainment giant announced plans to split into two companies. Now it says it is reviewing unsolicited interest from multiple parties for both the entire company and for Warner Brothers alone. It won't say who the potential bidders are, but CNBC reports Netflix and Comcast are interested. There are also reports Paramount Skydance, the parent company of CBS News, made an offer for Warner Brothers Discovery last month, but was rejected.
Dozens of families and attorneys general are suing the gaming platform Roblox, alleging it allows sexual predators access to children. Now, as we hear from CBS's Peter King, Florida has issued criminal subpoenas to Roblox.
Florida Attorney General James Uthmeyer says the subpoenas will let prosecutors find evidence of what he calls criminal activity,
as well as evidence on the predators that are out there and the victims that are abused.
Uthmeyer accuses Roblox of profiting from kids while failing to protect them.
Tropical storm Melissa has formed in the Caribbean. A hurricane watch is up for parts of Haiti. Checking Wall Street, right now the Dow Jones Industrial Average up 296, the S&P 500 up 12. This is CBS News.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Not only does Progressive let you bundle your insurance, they also give you round-the-clock protection. Quote today at Progressive.com.
This sandwich, it's a complete game changer. Hello, this is Mike, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Pretzel Cheddar Club is that juicy chicken with that toasty pretzel bun. That bun, it's crispy, cozy, just amazing. With the pretzel bun, the Dijon mustard, and the chicken, it makes that sweet, savory kind of combination. It's everything that you love about food rolled into one. It looks phenomenal. It tastes great. It's delicious.
Order the Pretzel Cheddar Club with Cherry Berry and Sprite for a limited time on the Chick-fil-A app. Real guests paid for their testimonial.
Vanity Fair calls BritBox a delicious streamer. Collider says everyone should be watching. Catch Britain's next best series with BritBox. Stream acclaimed new originals like Code of Silence.
You read lips, right?
And Linley, based on the best-selling mystery series.
Say hi, Lily. Take it from here.
And don't miss the new season of Karen Piri coming this October.
You don't look like police. I'll take that as a compliment.
See it differently when you stream the best of British TV with BritBox.
Local news and weather brought to you by Mississippi Energy Services. We're your fast, affordable, and friendly generator service company. msenergy.us. msenergy.us.
Why the kids had to be turned over to Child Protective Services. You'll see a 4 in 10 rain chance today with a high at 79. Tonight it's clear and down to 48. Wednesday 76 and sunny, and Thursday sunny and 81. You've got news on 103.9 WYAB. I'm Chris Davis. When maintenance workers at Sunchase Apartments in Ridgeland opened the door to 31-year-old Taylor Devon Sherman's unit this weekend, when water had started leaking into the apartment below, they found a 2-year-old boy with no clothes and a 2-year-old girl asleep, and the bathtub turned on and running over. But where was the mom? Ridgeland Police Chief Brian Myers says finding her was tough, and they had help from the children's grandmother. He says once they found Sherman, she admitted to leaving the kids there and was charged with felony child neglect. Solving both homelessness and panhandling are the goals of the new Unhoused Task Force, formed by Mayor John Horn and co-chaired by Melvin Stamps with Continuum of Care and Jill Buckley, Executive Director of Stewpot. Horn says he believes having people come together who know something about the problem and the community makes for a better chance for solutions. In Jackson County, the Sheriff's Department has announced the death of 45-year-old Deputy Joshua Brashears. They say he died Friday while on his way home from work in a crash. That happened on Highway 15 on the Harrison and Stone County line. A cop in Olive Branch has been arrested, charged with fondling a child. Joseph Barber was arrested in Memphis on a warrant and right now is still employed as an Olive Branch police officer until a decision by the Board of Aldermen says otherwise. The state gas average, $2.58, says Gas Buddy. More news in 1 hour on 103.9 WYAB. I'm Chris Davis.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are the individual views and opinions of the people expressing them and do not necessarily reflect those of this radio station, its parent, affiliated, or related entities, agents, or employees.
I don't want to set the world on.
Yes, you are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. Today is Tuesday, the 21st of October, 2025. I'll tell you what, it's pretty dark in Florida right now. It's almost like right before sunrise. Bad storm must be getting ready to blow through. Look, if you want to be part of the program today, it's simple. 601-879-0002. But don't call it in the last segment of the show when we're getting ready to go to top hour break. I'm just not going to take that. It's not fair to have such a short time with the caller. We want maximum influence. Text line is open. Spicy text this morning. My goodness gracious. 601-879-5060. We are streaming on Rumble. We are streaming on X. We are streaming on YouTube. And we are streaming at WYAB.com. If you want to follow me on X, that would be great. It's just at Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. Clay Edwards had a great idea for a new show tagline. All gas, no brakes. We'll have to see how that goes. I can incorporate it somewhere. I just have to figure out how to do it. But the mission of the show is the same. It will not change. It is to equip the saints. You are one of those saints. You know, we're always planting seeds. Somebody's always watering it, but it's God who gives the increase all the time. So I'm quite certain that the CNN people sit there and say, oh, we know Andy can't pronounce names, so let's get one of these weird names out here. And normally I would just play the clip, but the clip is not wanting to play. So I will try playing the clip one more time, but if not, I do have the paper copy per se. So we'll go down that route. If this doesn't kick in 3, 2, 1, nope. Just doesn't like it for whatever reason. Betya Ungar Sargon. I think I did that pretty good. I support white boomers using their First Amendment rights to hold a mass therapy session about the fact that Trump won. But we have to call him a king but to call him a king is totally preposterous. He won the popular vote. He is enacting the exact agenda he promised he would. They are actually protesting American democracy. The only appropriate response is to laugh. And that's the truth when it comes to these no kings rallies. They're nothing more than a large emotional support group where you can act in ways that you would never act alone or in a small group. Or perhaps maybe you would. Perhaps we know people who do not mind acting the fool in front of a bunch of people. But that's not what I am. I always want to try to be the best example I can be for people who A, know me and say, yep, that's how Andy always acts, or B, people who don't know me and say, hey, what's different about that dude? He acts a little bit different. Yep. The No Kings rally is nothing more than a giant social club to complain about Trump, who won legally. Yep. Saying he won the popular vote, he won the Electoral College vote, and I'm just letting you know it's only going to get bigger from here. I was just reading over the top of the hour break that there's another state that's going to redistrict and potentially bring in another Electoral College vote to the Republicans. Or not an Electoral College vote, but a congressman. The actual changing of the state Electoral College votes won't happen until the new census in 2030. So 2032 is when that would actually kick in for that presidential race. Hopefully we're looking at a J.D. Vance term number 2 or something similar to that. I'd take that deal. Speaking of J.D., anybody going to that Turning Point event up in Oxford next week? I am. Chance to see J.D. Vance, Erica Kirk. Couldn't miss that to save my life. I do got to call into Jacob Lawrence, and during the next break, I'll shoot a reminder text to him. Try to get him on the phone for at least a segment. Turning Point's doing great stuff. And yeah, we don't have Charlie here, but we have to, Charlie Mike, we have to continue the mission. I'm still figuring out a way how to convert Charlie Kirk to Charlie Mike and do the whole description of that, but it's just not quite where it needs to be yet. But it'll get there. Trump floats renewal of Gaza fighting, but says Hamas still has a chance to behave. Yeah, yesterday that ceasefire didn't look too much like a ceasefire, did it? But it's amazing that this is still holding together. And, you know, if Hamas is running around, I mean, it's insane to me that we're having to talk about this in 2025. Hamas is still running around in Gaza, not wanting to play along with this, even though the rest of the Muslim world, we just want this done. It's almost like humanity has collectively sighed and said enough. The bottom line with this is that when it comes to Israel and this fighting, I think the world is tired of it, but nobody knows how to act. So we're just kind of going through the process until we figure it out. I know that there are many listeners to this program who are not happy with Israel. I get that. But I'm not necessarily ready to go down all those avenues yet. President Trump said, we made a deal with Hamas that they're going to be very good. They're going to behave. They're going to be nice. And if not, we're going to eradicate them if we have to. Not much wiggle room there, folks. Not much wiggle room there. You know, for so long, America's carried this big stick, but we really haven't used it in the way that I think it should be used. The lethality, the way that we can impart justice so quickly has actually been severely displaced. It's been retracted. We do not nearly fight as aggressively as we could. Some say as we should. It was really explained to me pretty easily in a class that we had to take. And long story short is when your enemy no longer wants to fight because they're tired of getting their heads beat in, that's usually when the peace comes. Well, Iran's got its head beat in. Hamas has got its head beat in. Hezbollah, which is normally in the northern part, Lebanon area, they are incredibly quiet, don't you think? It just seems that Iran is the major instigator with all of this. And until Hamas is set down, until Hezbollah is set down, until, quite frankly, Iran gets its head together, we're going to go through stuff like this. And it brings a great point to how so many of you say, I don't want to be involved in Iran and I don't want to be involved in Ukraine. And I agree with you. But the fact that we're not involved doesn't mean that that situation still isn't happening. And you may want to be paying attention to what's going on there because it will undoubtedly end up falling back to you. It's like not paying attention to that neighbor down the road who doesn't take care of his trees or leaves garbage piled up out in the middle of there. It builds up. Israel, I'm sure till the day I'm gone, we'll be continuing to hear about that. Trump reiterated his belief that the deadly attack on IDF troops in Gaza on Sunday, which led to Israel blaming Hamas, responded with a wave of airstrikes before announcing it was resuming the truth, was not authorized by the terrorist group's leadership. So apparently these were some lone wolf actors who belong to part of Hamas, but necessarily aren't following the leaders of Hamas. Not good. Not good. Not good at all. The Sweet Beast says that she wants to go to Israel. I want to take her to Israel. I'm not bragging, but I'm not sure if I want to go today like I had the chance to go back in the early 90s. I genuinely believe that the Israel that exists today is nothing like what we saw back in the 90s or even the 2000s. Living in Israel was good. The pizza was incredible over there. You're saying, Andy, pizza? Why are you eating pizza? Dude, it was a street cart out there. This guy had it, and it looked good at the time, so I ordered it up. It was just cheese pizza, but man, the crust on it was good. I can still remember it. I'm 53 now. That would have been 20 some years ago. I can still remember. That was a darn good slice of pizza, everybody. When we get back, we'll continue to go down this road. We'll continue to talk about the big stories popping in. I do want to continue a little bit talking about the Great Minds program that is being implemented here in Mississippi. And when we get back, we'll continue to talk about that. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Oh, yeah. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. This just popped up in my timeline over the break. We were talking about DeSoto County and how they've got the school board member up there who is trying to write a letter of character witness for a 26-year-old lesbian volleyball teacher up there, or basketball teacher up there, who is sexually assaulting minors. Well, it's happened again, and this is coming from John Williams, my friend up there. He's documenting all this. Another DeSoto County school teacher is arrested last week for a sex-related crime. DeSoto County school teacher, hit the wrong button. DeSoto County school teacher Benjamin Wesley Kurgasi was arrested last week and charged with photo or film without permission where there's an expectation of privacy. So that would mean a locker room, a bathroom. You know, you're not going to be filmed here, so don't take any pictures here. It's absolutely, where there's smoke, there's fire. And right now we have this complete disconnect between the American people and their public school system. For a long time, America really hasn't had to worry about too many problems. We just haven't. And it's all of a sudden, it's like all these things are coming due, and we're going to have to start taking care of these things. And the truth of the matter is we're not going to like what we're about to have to walk through. It's like having all this money, and you just, I don't worry about it, just pay it off. And then all of a sudden that money's taken away, and all of a sudden you do have to start paying for your lifestyle and what you thought. We're in a messed up world, and I'm just completely blown away that it's so compacted right there in DeSoto County. I'm sure it's in other places too, but when you see it all pop out there, and you see all of this sadness, what drives a teacher to go ahead and end up doing this? It makes no sense to me. It doesn't. What I'm trying to do right now is pull up this guy's salary. Let's see if I can find it. Yep, there's a few of them. Wow. Well, if I can find the salary of it, I will. But this database is way too difficult, and it shouldn't be that way. But yep, DeSoto County continued to have that problem. This hour, or this segment of the Andrew Gosser Show, is brought to us by Elite Custom Construction, LLC. That's my man, Stephen Arrington, out there in Pearl, 608 El Dorado Road in Pearl, Mississippi. You can give him a call at 601-927-0552. Absolute best kitchen remodeler you can get out there. All the custom woodworking, all the custom milling, custom built cabinets to your exact description, how you want it. Whether that be an indoor kitchen or an outdoor kitchen, go visit my man, Stephen Arrington. Again, his number is 601-927-0552. Elite Custom Construction, LLC. We appreciate you supporting the Andrew Gosser Show. We really do. And again, we're all talking about these different school problems, whether that be what's happening in DeSoto County or what we're finding out here in Madison County with the Wit and Wisdom program that they're starting to institute. Not good. A lot of DEI. Lots of DEI. With respect to the situation in Madison, we do not know for sure, and I'm just pulling up the Wit and Wisdom because this is the ELA, English Language Arts, So this is just one part of it. That company absolutely owns a bunch of other companies out there that can do math, science. They have bunches of different tools out there, but this wit and wisdom, it's just one of those things where they've really locked in and started pushing DEI principles. And so when you go and you look it up at first online, which is what I've done, it doesn't look like there's that much of a problem there. But when you start peeling back the onions, it opens up a lot of open questions that will allow you to devolve into some stuff that perhaps you wouldn't want to be devolved into. And there's no real way in such a quick time, because I just got this yesterday, but I hope to by tomorrow have some more information about that. And again, this is in Madison County. People don't realize that this school board stuff, and it's funny because I did get this text, Andrew, I'm starting to see why school boards are considered so important. I never really realized it until we've been talking about it over the last couple of weeks. And thank you for the text. But what I would tell you, Mr. or Mrs. Unknown Texter, is that it takes that long for people to actually see just how, number one, influential the school board is, but number two, how to go and get against it and start to repair it and get a school board in there that it wants to educate, but wants to put the kids first. And to understand that if we just go along to get along, we're going to be in trouble. And you can use all sorts of different examples for this. At some point when you win, you're going to cause a little bit of a problem because you're not going to want to go along with the status quo, and you're going to have that fight. You're going to have that debate. You can get there. And that's why the example that I like using, whether that be the school board or the precinct delegate process, is just getting back to control what you can control. You don't have to eat the whole burrito in one bite at the first sitting. In fact, that's a definite way to choke and lose. It, especially to those of us who are getting into this for the first time, it's okay not to have all the answers. Sometimes to say, I don't know, is acceptable. Now, we don't like to say that. We don't like to say, I don't know. But it does happen. We're going to take an early break this time, because in the next segment, I want to make sure that I can explain this whole wit and wisdom without having to go to a break. So we're going to take an early break now, and a long segment in the next segment. We'll be right back. Yeah. You're tuned in to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. And sometimes the computer just goes kaput. And when it does, you just reboot it and we go after it. And we're going to go in a different direction until I can get that Wit and Wisdom webpage to reload itself. New England, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New England. We all know that it's a liberal place. There are no Republican senators up there. There are no congressmen there. Are those Republicans having their voting rights infringed upon because the Democrat Party does not have one Republican seat from New England, yet that's 40% of the population? And if you don't believe me, you can just go to my X account right now. Maine, 2 congressional seats, no Republicans. New Hampshire, 2 congressional seats, no Republicans. Vermont, 1 congressional seat, clearly no Republicans. Massachusetts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pairs of 7. Not one Republican congressman. Rhode Island, looks like 2. No Republicans. Connecticut, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No Republicans. Do you think those maps just drew themselves? You know, they complain about what's happening in Texas and Florida. But when you look at what they've done in New England alone, and then you think about other states like New York, Illinois, California, Oregon, Wisconsin, these other Democratic states that have purposely drawn their lines so backwards to get it to where there's no Republicans coming from there. That is completely, it is completely not representing the population of New England, number one. But number two, it just goes to show you how duplicitous, what hypocrites Democrats really are. Don't focus on what we've already done in Illinois and California and Wisconsin. Go look at what Texas and Florida are doing right now, and Missouri and Indiana and Ohio and North Carolina and wherever else they're going to end up doing it. It's like the system is constantly trying to balance itself out with all of these crazy inputs being put in by both political parties, quite frankly. People can say, oh, it's the Democrats, or oh, it's the Republicans, it's Republicans. No, it's a combination of the two. You have to be able to see both sides of the of the issue. To watch what's happening with our congressional seats, with our census, with how they're using it to try to manipulate the House of Representatives. I think this is a great case to perhaps repeal the amendment that says that our senators are elected by the general population. They shouldn't be. It should end up being the state house and the state representatives in conjunction with what the governor wants. If you think about it, with what they've done, I think it's the 17th. It could be the 18th. I always flip flop them. Please forgive me for it, but it's almost like they've put America into a doom loop by not only having House seats up every 2 years, but with those Senate seats It's just reinforcing what the people want, but not necessarily what the state government wants. And if you remember, the Senate was supposed to be for the state governments. This is real stuff here. This isn't like me just making stuff up. And they knew if they could just get the senators elected by the people, they knew that it would be very conservative off in the beginning. They knew that it was going to be against it, but they knew that over time, again, politics is a long game, knew over time that there was going to be a problem. And they're just going through all the different voting percentages. So in New England, it's anywhere from 34% to 41% Republican, depending on the state. They should at least have one, don't you think? Maybe not. I genuinely feel that with everything that's going on with our House and Senate thing, the sooner that we can get these redistrictings done and we can start to reset the American population and how we draw districts. Look, we might have to come up with some new way to draw districts that we aren't necessarily going to like. But at least we all know that the system is truly broken now. And I appreciate whoever posted that. That was really incredible work. The name James O'Keefe. Many of you know it. Many of you know about Project Veritas and how the deep state effectively infiltrated Project Veritas and tried to get James O'Keefe completely arrested. And if you think about it, out of all these reporters and journalists, no one has been treated worse than James O'Keefe, and yet they continue to blackball him, disparage him, don't take his work seriously. But this work is serious. This is coming from the O'Keefe Media Group. Breaking 100 billion federal contracting scam. Firm admits to violating federal law using minority-owned status as a front to obtain $100 million of no big government contracts while outsourcing 80% of the work. Outsourcing 80% of the work. And I will definitely put this on my X account when I go to the commercial break. ATI Government Solutions contract manager Melanie Cromwell admits to exploiting the SBA program through pass-through scheme and breaking federal law. Quote, I tell you, pass-throughs are a great thing. We only do 20% of the work and the rest goes to subs. And remember, there's no competition. We've set up this system in America where if you know who to go to and who to talk to, you can get yourself a great contracting deal where you're going to set up your family for the rest of your natural life and probably your kids' natural life. I know it's true. I've watched it. I've been subjected to it, and it's true. An O'Keefe Media Group undercover investigation has exposed how federal contractor ATI Government Solution exploits minority preference programs to secure more than $100 million in no-bid contracts while subcontracting out the vast majority of the work. We went undercover and arranged meetings with multiple employees to dig deeper into the truth behind their narrative, or their Native American ownership, their small business status, and their excessive use of subcontractors. And what we found was more damning than we were ever expecting. This is Pocahontas version 2.0. Maybe we can bring in Elizabeth Warren as an expert witness on how this works. 0.001 American Native Indian, but she got the Harvard deal. Miss Melanie explained how ATI uses its tribal status to lock down multi-million-dollar no-bid contracts, then pass off the majority of work to subcontractor firms that would never fully qualify on their own. Meanwhile, ATI keeps the lion's share of the cash, Cromwell revealed to our undercover journalist. Quote, so a lot of our subcontractors bid on contracts that were perfect in their industry, but because they weren't Native American, they would not win it, she said. So if we bid on it for them, they become our sub, and then it's an automatic win because you're Native American status. There's no bidding war. This is exactly what's happening inside your American government right now. But it doesn't have to be Native American status. It could be woman status. It could be a minority-owned business. There's all sorts of different caveats, rules, buts, therefore, or otherwise an exception to this. Under the system meant to empower disadvantaged businesses, pass-through contractors such as ATI serve as paper fronts, taking much of the money off the top while doing little to none of the work. Cromwell admitted the company performs only 20% of its multi-million-dollar no-bid federal contracts, subcontracting out the remaining 80%. A textbook case of a pass-through scheme. Correct, yeah. They're doing most of the work, but you really want to stay on them. Make sure that they're on time. So we do about 20% of the work. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't make this up. You really can't. The chat is clearly fired up about it. How do you even begin to try to fix this other than, of course, sending these people to jail? Do we form some blue ribbon commission to go through all these different programs that are trying to give businesses to minorities and see if that's actually happening? How much money would you spend investigating that? Would we save 100 million? It might be worth it then. I can tell you now that this sadly doesn't get me excited or I'm not shocked by it. It's just typical what happens to bureaucracies the bigger they get. It's easier to slice this little bit off here. What 100 million to you might be a rounding error to somebody else. Rounding error. Certainly when you get down below $1 million, that's rounding error. Would you want to be part of that rounding error? I wouldn't. I would always be thinking in the back of my mind, they're going to find out someday how I got this and I'm going to be busted. I don't want to live that way. Aaron Tippin, I got it honest. That's a good song there. Eric's jumping in. What ends up being a tremendous amount of money when you consider these contracts are worth tens of even hundreds of millions of dollars. Yep. Think about that. You get awarded $100 million contract and you're going to get 12% of the money. Well, that's $12 million. That's a lot of scratch. That certainly would take care of me and everything that I'd ever want to accomplish in life. Maybe I need to set some higher goals. It's absolutely insidious what's going on with some of these companies. And they're out there. Unfortunately, we don't have enough James O'Keefe's out there doing this type of investigative work. What I love about James O'Keefe is he'll actually try to employ you to go to work for him. He'll get you the cameras. He'll send you through school. Like he practices that gotcha journalism. And it does need to be practiced on, but I'll tell you what, it's not fun. Especially when you know that there's a journalist out there who's specifically trying to get you. And they're not genuinely interested in helping the community. They just want to get their name up there and say, look at what I did. those journalists end up going on leading completely meaningless lives, sitting inside an echo chamber where they all talk about how great they are and then can't understand why nobody really wants to hang out or be with them. Not trustworthy. Slimy. Yep. I just saw that and I was $100 billion. Man, I was thinking 100 million when I said that, didn't I? It's 100 billion. 100 billion. Great googly moogly. We'll be right back on the Andrew Gosser Show. Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. Just a couple of facts that I did not get to during the show. Chris Hinkle, great constitutional mind there. They were talking about in the first hour how they wanted to release all the Epstein files and just let everybody look at everything. And Chris makes up a good point here. If the Epstein files were released unredacted, it would violate due process and 0 people would successfully be prosecuted. When people of low constitutional intelligence, and then he cites Thomas Massey and a couple other people. I agree with you, Chris, but I don't think the prosecutors are ever going to prosecute anyway. Even if we had him dead to rights, you had the videotape right there. He is not. They're never going to get prosecuted. So I genuinely believe that's why so many people think that it should be done. And to be fair to people who think like I do, I think it's fair to say that the DOJ has been absolutely hideous in prosecutions. Whether you sit on the left side of the aisle or the right side of the aisle. How many times do you have to bring on J6ers here to talk about how their rights were completely trampled upon by Joe Biden and this Department of Justice? Which, again, I know I look at things differently than most, so I just look at what's going to happen the next time the Democrats get in control and how even more outrageous it's going to be. That was one of the things I want to talk about. And then in the chat, we were talking about this $100 billion, and they brought up Dick Cheney. Brother Eric did. And just be careful, because Dick Cheney was the CEO of Halliburton. But if you want to believe the 3 different websites that I've looked at, Dick Cheney resigned from Halliburton CEO so he could become the vice president of the United States. So he resigned that before he was even nominated. So there was some risk of him going there. That being said, you are kidding yourself if you don't think Halliburton took advantage of having their former CEO as the vice president of the United States. And you can say whatever you want about Dick Cheney, and you might be right, but he was a calculating politician. He maneuvered the most powerful government in the world to benefit his personal life. He totally took advantage of that. Where does the time go? My goodness, it's like we get going down some of these roads, and it just never ceases to amaze me how quick the time goes. We will be back in about another 22 hours. Until then, take care, everybody. Be blessed. We'll talk to you soon.